Ah, little case study. When there are 0 open goals returned by the puzzle manager when the player wants a hint, like I just said. Well, so there's no open goals, so all the undiscovered goals have to be ranked by likely hint priority so that you give it the best one. So the entity that's smartest about this is the story manager because it keeps the big picture. Also, the story manager is able to run scripts. That's what it does. That's its job. So it runs its Find Nearest Undiscovered Goal script. Start script. Check the current conversation state. And is the player in the middle of a dialogue tree right now? The conclusion of which will open a new goal for the player. Because if at the end of this conversation, something new will obviously happen, you know. The character you're talking to tells you exactly where to go next. You know. Then report to the hint system that the player just needs to finish the current conversation. But, so, that's the most immediate thing you check, because if the player's in the middle of a conversation, that's a very special state. And it's sort of the highest level. It's like, what else is happening? You're in the middle of talking to somebody. Next, kind of begin with the player location, where the player's standing at that moment, and ask in turn, so you get like a positive answer. Are there undiscovered goals within scope of the player? Are there undiscovered goals within the area of the map containing the player's location? Are there objects the player has not interacted with? Are there exits the player has not taken? The exits not taken case is one that I am particularly interested in and have a whole separate thing written about. But I'm going to move on. So if we're still not getting anything, we determine the current scene of the story. Have we just started a new scene? What's the next logical scene after this one? Is there a character the player should interact with? All these are trying to answer the question, what undiscovered thing should be discovered next in order to make an interesting story happen? If all else fails, cycle through the entire list of undiscovered goals, all of them, and check their prerequisites against the player's actions, or the undiscovered open-close state of all objects or locations referenced in those prerequisites. This is starting to get complicated. Prioritize those that are in the player's possession or are in scope for the current player location. Actually, I think that's redundant with checking the scope of the room the player's in. Actually, you should probably start with the possessions and then branch out, maybe. Or do you check the room and then the possessions? When do you check the possessions? That's a question I haven't answered for myself. Or rather than the goal, return a list of objects or locations that the player has not thoroughly explored so that the hint system can print a template response. Have you looked at blank or similar? Then, of course, you prompt the puzzle manager to run its upkeep routine. Just a general reminder. It normally does it, but you can, like, make it do it. And that ends the script. That ends the lecture for now. Apparently it's about an hour long.